So, in the last lecture, we were talking about heat exchange in buildings, and we discussed how conduction, convection, and even internal heat exchange can add to the equation of heat transfer between building and the atmosphere outside. And we're going to continue that today. We had discussed until radiation through windows for glazed windows and unglazed windows. Now we come to internal heat gain. Internal heat gain is uh, increase in internal temperature because of any object or human being inside that space. Human beings uh, emit or produce heat constantly because we're living beings. We're hot blooded, or uh, and other than that, we have electrical appliances, lighting fixtures that also add to that uh, internal heat. Incandescent, meaning those 100-watt light bulbs, add up to 95% of heat, and fluorescent like LED and CFL and tube lights add 79% heat. Electric motors, computers, any and all appliances like fridge, microwaves when in use, televisions, fans even add to the internal heat gain. Then evaporation. Evaporation is basically what is evaporation? Evaporation is when surface heats up to a certain degree, then whatever humidity, moisture is in it, it evaporates or it vaporizes and is released into the environment. That's evaporation. So if the temperature or the climate weather is humid and there is a lot of moisture in the air, then uh, the rate of cooling will be higher, and evaporation also depends on what temperature there is in the environment. If it is too hot and there is a lot of humidity and moisture in the environment, the evaporation will be difficult. If the air is humid, meaning it is already to a great degree saturated with moisture, so evaporation will be difficult because the vapors will have nowhere to go because the air is already saturated. And if the temperature is dry, if the atmosphere is dry, there is low humidity in the air, evaporation will be easier. Okay. For example, when there is too much humidity, बहुत उमस होती है, तो व्हाट हैपेंस, कपड़े बहुत मुश्किल से सूखते हैं इन मॉनसून्स. Clothes dry at a very slow rate. Sometimes they don't even get completely dried. That's because evaporation cannot happen successfully if there is too much humidity in the air already, because there's already water content in the air, and then the extra water from the clothes will have nowhere to go. That's why they don't dry. But if it's windy, there's wind blowing at good velocity, then it will dry because the air will be continuously replaced, and moisture will be carried away through that air. So evaporation basically depends on moisture in the object itself, then humidity in the atmosphere, and the temperature and wind velocity. You know why we feel so hot and sticky when during monsoons, when there's no airflow, there's no wind, it feels so stuck because there's humidity in the air and we're sweating and our sweat doesn't evaporate and we don't cool down because it's already too humid and there is no air. But on dry, windy days, when there's no humidity like these days, and the air is flowing at a good velocity, um, we feel cooler because our perspiration evaporates at a higher rate. Same thing goes for buildings. If there is moisture available, see, in buildings, how does evaporation work? The building itself doesn't perspire. Hopefully, it doesn't. If it does, it means it's moisture laden. There is dampness in the building, which is not good. But otherwise, if you see coolers, how do coolers work? And in old Havelis and old homes, they used to hang these um, straw curtains, and there used to be water pouring down on them. So straw is dry, and when you put water in it, it becomes saturated. And when wind blows, then evaporation happens, and the inside space, interior space gets cooler. Evaporation can be used to cool a space down. Coolers work in a similar way. We add what through the motor, we add water to the straw to the sides of the cooler, and when we turn it on, the airflow makes the space cooler. So if there's a lot of humidity, evaporation will uh, not help in heat loss. If the climate is dry and there is low humidity, it will help in heat loss. Condensation is relative humidity is a function of temperature. Means humidity is relative and it is dependent on the temperature or the climate, whether it is hot or whether it is cold. When the air cools down and the moisture remains same, the relative humidity increases. When humidity reaches 100%, when the relative humidity, meaning the moisture in the air, is at its peak, highest, meaning 100%, condensation happens. Means water droplets, suppose, okay, let me give an example. Let me give you an example. बारिश के टाइम जब बहुत उमस होती है, अगर बारिश हो चुकी है एंड फिर भी ह्यूमिडिटी है, इट मीन्स टेम्परेचर ठंडा होगा, मौसम ठंडा होगा, करेक्ट? बट
Yes, ma'am.
उमस होती है, उमस बेसिकली क्या होती है? ह्यूमिडिटी. उमस मतलब मॉइस्चर बहुत है हवा में, तो दैट इज हाई ह्यूमिडिटी. सो टेम्परेचर ठंडा है, एयर ठंडी है, बट मॉइस्चर कम नहीं हो रहा है, ह्यूमिडिटी कम नहीं हो रही है। सो दैट मीन्स कि जो उसकी क्या वजह हो सकती है, हवा नहीं चल रही है। व्हेन द एयर इज स्टिल एंड मे बी बारिश हुई है, बारिश मतलब पानी गिरा, तो ह्यूमिडिटी ऑलरेडी बढ़ गई, पर बिकॉज हवा नहीं चल रही होती है, तो वो ह्यूमिडिटी कहीं जाती नहीं है, इट डजंट मूव, इट जस्ट इट्स स्टेज देयर। तो होता क्या है, इफ वी परस्पायर, अगर पसीना निकलता है तो इट डजंट गो एनीवेयर, बिकॉज वो इवेपोरेट नहीं हो सकता। दो वजह से, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी ह्यूमिडिटी ज़्यादा है एंड हवा नहीं चल रही है। तो व्हाट हैपेंस इज it stays as droplets on our skin. That applies to anything. अगर आप पेड़ को देखोगे तो वो ह्यूमिडिटी कंडेंस होके उस पे बनी रहती है, इट डजंट गो एनीवेयर, इट डजंट गेट evaporate into the air, and it doesn't get blown away by wind. That is what they're talking about. And I'm assuming आप सबको ऑलरेडी पता है कंडेंसेशन क्या होता है, because these are the very basics. Most building materials are porous and offer little resistance to the passage of vapors. Meaning, mostly whatever building materials are used, they are porous, means they have uh, pores or air, tiny little air cavities inside them, and because of that, the passage of vapors is not stopped anywhere from inside to outside. So if the in humidity inside the space, inside the walls, penetrates the walls, then it reaches the layer having a temperature less than its dew point, moisture will condense. So this mostly happens in cold climates. Cold climates may out exterior may you have very low temperature and very low humidity, so air doesn't have a lot of moisture and it is very cold. The temperatures are very low as well. So obviously compared to that, in the interior the humidity will be more, because of a lot of number of things. You might have radiators or heaters working inside, and you might be a little warm, so their humidity inside the building will be a lot more. So what happens is this humidity, because there is difference in level, जब भी there is a difference in level, be it temperature or humidity, it will tend to transfer. Everything tends to stay in equilibrium. Everything should remain equal, and if it isn't in nature, then nature will try to keep it or bring it to equal or equilibrium. So if this humidity inside the walls penetrates the walls and goes outside, then it forms condensation uh, on maybe the glass windows or the exterior walls of the building. This phenomenon is called interstitial condensation. What is periodic heat flow? We have all experienced this, especially in this climate when there's little to no rainfall. It's way too hot in the daytime, and it is way too cold in the nighttime. There is at least 50% of difference between the day temperature and night temperature. So what is periodic heat flow? Periodic means in a cycle, uh, depending on the passage of time. Heat cyclic occurrence depending on the passage of time. Heat flow means the transfer of heat. So in nature, as climate produces a non-steady state of heat transfer. In the daytime, when the sun is shining down, everything, the air is uh, here the air becomes hot, the wall surfaces and everything is very hot because of the extreme rise in temperature, and then during the night time it cools down, the temperature drops to 10 degree, 15 degree, and the day it's almost close to 40 degrees Celsius. So this extreme difference in temperature happens repeatedly in every 24 hours. Every afternoon the temperature will rise, and every night the temperature will go down. So this cycle of time temperature increase and drop is periodic heat flow, and this happens everywhere, everywhere, even in colder temperature. It is more noticeable in warmer climates, but it happens everywhere. So in hot period, during the hot period, meaning during daytime, heat flows from the environment to inside the building, and at night time the flow is reversed. The outside is colder than the inside, so the heat flows from inside to outside. Like we discussed already, heat always tends to equalize. It will always transfer from higher to lower, what hotter to colder. And this heat flow is is called the periodic heat flow. दिन में गर्मी बाहर से अंदर आएगी, रात में गर्मी अंदर से बाहर जाएगी. And then there is time lag. Time lag means the difference in time in the outdoor and indoor temperature peak is called time lag. Time lag in itself, what does it mean? It means the difference in time when the audio is not in sync, it is moving faster than the subtitles, then we say there's a lag, there is a time lag. So the difference between time or occurrence of something, of two things, two related time difference in occurrence of two different things in time is called a time lag. So in context to mm, heat transfer, time lag basically means the difference in time in the outdoor and indoor peak temperature, meaning when the environmental temperature, बाहर का temperature is at its peak, and जब interior या घर के अंदर का temperature is at its peak, उन दोनों में जो difference होता है, that is called the time lag. This happens because of all the factors that we discussed in this. Because there are barriers of walls and roof, and there are internal appliances, people that add to the temperature difference between the outside and inside. उसकी वजह से what happens is कि बाहर suppose दोपहर में 3 बजे will be extremely hot and the hottest time of the day. If you're standing outside in a garden, correct? But if you're inside your home, the warmest time will probably be around 6 to 7 p.m. During the evening, it gets incredibly warm and it gets very uncomfortable. You just feel like going outside. So this happens because of all those factors, because the external heat takes time to come inside the space because of conduction, because of convection. It doesn't directly come inside the house because there are walls that are acting as a barrier between the outside heat and inside space. So it takes some time for your interiors to reach its highest temperature. And that difference between the outside and inside highest temperature is time lag. And I would suggest that you notice this today. Go to your roof, go to the terrace or your balcony and see around 2 to 3 o'clock you'll feel it is extremely hot. And but inside it takes some time to get as hot as it can be in the interiors. So during the dusk, sunset, or just after the sunset, it gets very hot and then it cools down. So there is a reduction in its temperature while the heat wave travels inside. So the exterior heat, environmental heat, takes some time to come inside the house or your residence or any space for that matter. And during that time, during the transfer, some heat loss also happens, which is true for every and anything. Light, whenever even the sunlight that comes inside your house through a glass window, there is some loss because some part is reflected, some part is absorbed, and the rest is transferred inside. Same goes for heat. So whatever heat comes inside the space through walls, through windows, through the roof, uh, there is a loss in heat, a loss in temperature, reduction in temperature while it transfers inside. This is because of the transmittance and because of all the things that we just talked about. There is some heat loss, some is radiated back outside into the environment, some part is absorbed. That is why your walls of your house become very hot. That's because they're not transferring all of the heat inside. They store some of the heat and then transfer the rest, and some of it is radiated back into the environment. So if you see here in this graph, the solid line is the line for the outside temperature, and the dashed line is the line for the interior temperature. Okay, so the temperature is at its mean, meaning average at 6 o'clock. Um, and at around 4 or 5 you have the lowest temperature possible. If you can see this in any newspaper, they will give you the maximum and minimum temperature and the coldest and hottest hour of the day. You can very quickly during your lunch break go and see that. So it will be mostly around 4 or 5 a.m., 4 a.m. mostly, that you'll have the lowest temperature. And then at 6 it is average, and then it rises to its highest during afternoons, and then it comes to its lowest again at 4 5, and so on. This is the periodic cycle. See this sine wave. Oh, is the trough and then crest. This continues every day. It might vary some during the different weathers, but this is how it happens. It's a sine wave. And this dashed line shows the interior temperature. And if you notice that the peak of this is not as high as the peak of this, because there is some loss and transference and radiation that loses its temperature. So TO is temperature of outside, TI is temperature of inside. The TO max is higher than Ti max. And this happens because of transference and transmittance, and this is quantified as U value, the transmittance in watts per square meters. And this ratio, if we divide Ti max by To max, see, To max meaning maximum outside temperature minus maximum inside temperature is time lag. And if we take the ratio of inside temperature, maximum inside temperature and maximum outside temperature, it's called the decrement factor. Decrement matlab, decrement means reduction. The loss means decrement. So the loss factor basically of temperature from outside to inside is the ratio of inside maximum and outside maximum temperature. And the difference subtraction gives us time lag. You should know this. These are very basic equations, and if you understand it, it's very easy to remember. You can even experience this. This is something you can actually experience for yourself and observe. Any doubts so far? Do you want me to repeat something?
Yes, ma'am. Decremental factor is loss of heat, no?
Yes, it is the loss of heat from outside to inside.
Okay, ma'am.
And to calculate it, the equation is dividing the inside maximum temperature by outside maximum temperature.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm, and the rest, Asif and Chetna don't have any doubt so far. Okay, so we will move on. So, application, how do you use this? I mean, what's the use of this? Okay, we know how to find out. We are now understand that there is a cyclic cycle of temperature rise and fall in the environment, and we also know that uh, the maximum temperature that can be observed outside is always much higher than what is happens inside, and the when the peak happens during the time of day is also different outside and inside. And there is also some loss. We have understood all of those factors, but how do we use it? How do we apply it in our practice and our designs? So for that we need to understand thermal control. Use of thermal capacity is a means of thermal control. Thermal capacity means how warm or how hot can something get, meaning thermal capacity can be of the building materials, of the inside space itself, how high temperature or how low temperature it can bear. That, and if we use it to our advantage, that is the means to achieve thermal control, to control what temperature we want to maintain inside our space. हम लोगों का main aim is this is why we install air conditioners, coolers, heaters and all of that, to achieve thermal control, to achieve how hot the interior gets and how cool it gets. And if we understand the decremental factor, if we understand and we know what the decremental factor is, what is the time lag, then we can easily understand what temperature we need to achieve, we have what we have to work against or maybe work with. So to find out the decremental factor and time lag, like we just discussed, we need to know the maximum outside temperature and maximum inside temperature. That is all we need to know, which is very easily quantifiable, means it is very easily, it can be calculated or found out using infrared thermometers or even data loggers. We will talk about it in a maybe the next semester, but they can be very easily found out. And if we know that, we can calculate the decremental factor, meaning how much loss occurs between outside and inside, and how what the time lag is. I mean, time lag as in if it okay, time lag in words would mean it gets it's the hottest at 3 o'clock outside. So, and if the time lag is 4 hours, so it means at about 7 p.m., 7 in the evening, our interior will get very extremely hot. And if we know the decremental factor, meaning how much temperature loss happens, we will know ki okay, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was 40 degrees outside, and it is going to be the hottest at 7 p.m. inside, and decremental factor is maybe 20 degrees Celsius. So we know that if it was this hot outside at this time, then that means at 7 p.m. in the evening, it will be 20 degrees Celsius inside the house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके मैं फिर से बताती हूँ हमें बहुत आसानी से पता है कि सपोज दोपहर के 2:30 बजे 40 डिग्री सेल्सियस टेम्परेचर हो जाता है, एंड दिस इज़ द हाईएस्ट, एंड दिस इज़ अवेलेबल इन न्यूज़पेपर्स, दिस इज़ अवेलेबल ऑन ऑन द इंटरनेट, ये डेटा अवेलेबल है। सो हमें पता है कितने बजे सबसे ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर होता है बाहर। सो अगर हमें डेक्रीमेंटल फैक्टर पता है एंड टाइम लाइक पता है, तो वी कैन फाइंड आउट कि कितनी देर बाद, कितने घंटे बाद इंटीरियर का टेम्परेचर हाईएस्ट होगा, एंड वो हाईएस्ट टेम्परेचर भी हमें पता होगा क्योंकि हमें लॉस का फैक्टर पता है, और मे बी हमें बाहर का टेम्परेचर और अंदर का टेम्परेचर पता है, तो हमें ये पता चल जाएगा कि हमें कितनी देर बाद सबसे ज़्यादा गर्मी लगेगी अंदर। एंड अगर हम कूलर टेम्परेचर में हैं, तो वी कैन यूज़ दैट टू आवर एडवांटेज कि वी कैन क्रिएट स्पेसेस अकॉर्डिंगली। और अगर हम लोग को वार्मर टेम्परेचर में क्लाइमेट में है, मीनिंग मे बी इधर साउथ एशिया ऑन ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज, तो वी कैन suppose at in the evening, your project is the designer residence, and the whole family sits together to have snacks, tea in the family room during this time in the evening around 6 and 7. So you would want ki they you provide a good amount of cooling options, passive, maybe passive heating, passive cooling options, or mechanical cooling options in that space, so that when it does get too hot, they can use that to cool down the interior.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not always about using ACs, that's also a point. You don't always have to use mechanical cooling or heating. You can use passive techniques, which we will talk about later sometime, but right now let's talk about heat loss and gain in buildings. So, so other than that, we have also seen that there is some amount of temperature loss from outside to inside. And think about it, if we choose different materials, I'm sure there will be a lot more heat gain or loss or transfer between them. Suppose if a wall is made out of bricks, and for example, a brick transmittance value is high, so what will happen is the decremental factor, meaning the loss factor, will not be as much. So the difference in temperature will not be that much. अगर बाहर बहुत गर्म है तो अंदर भी काफी गर्म होगा. And if we use glass blocks, there is a wall, we have construct a wall completely made out of glass blocks. So the amount of heat that will transfer through that is very high. So there will be very less difference between the outside temperature and inside temperature. So if we are constructing in a colder climate in Western countries, then we can use glass. You have big glass screens because they want that as much as they can capture as much heat from outside as they can, so that उन्हें mechanical heating कम करनी पड़े. And what we do in our country is we try to protect our interior spaces as much from the heat as possible because we don't want कि बाहर की heat अंदर आ पाए. So we can choose the construction materials. We can use, what can we do as interior designers? We can choose the window coverings. We can use drapes instead of sheer fabrics so that the heat does not transfer as much. We can use reflective surface on the outside of the curtain so that more heat is transferred back into the environment. So we have to be mindful of these things. Okay, next. So we are basically trying to insulate our interiors, our envelope, building ka envelope, so that we can control the amount of heat that comes inside. We might want more heat if we are in a colder temperature climate. We will want less heat if we are in a warmer climate. Okay. Insulation. Effect of insulation on a 100 mm thick concrete slab. If we insulate it with 40 mm thick glass wool, then what will happen? See, placement as in what we're saying is, see, concrete का slab है 100 mm meaning 10 centimeter wide, and if we place 40 mm thick glass wool का layer on under the slab, meaning if we place it inside the house in the false ceiling, then the time lag will be very less, meaning uh, if it's hot outside, it within 3 hours it will be hot inside as well. But if we place this glass wool on top of the slab, meaning छत पे अगर रखेंगे on the above layer facing the sky, then we will get 11 and a half hours of time lag, meaning it will take almost 12 hours for heat to completely transfer to the inside. So it's not just key what insulation material you use, it's also important where you place it, how you use it. So insulation on the outside reduces the heat flow into the mass itself. So because insulation is placed on top of the slab, so heat transfer to the slab happens very slowly. The concrete slab itself doesn't get heated very easily, but if it is placed beneath it, then the slab will get heated very quickly. And then it's only a matter of transferring conduction of that heat to the inside.
मैम
Hmm.
ये चीज़ समझ नहीं आई है ऑन 100 mm कंक्रीट स्लैब द प्लेसमेंट ऑफ द 40 mm ग्लास मीन्स मतलब पहले ग्लास फिर उसके ऊपर स्लैब
We are considering those scenarios. In one case, we have a 100 mm concrete slab, and if we place this glass wool on top of it, on top of the slab, then this happens. And if we place it under the slab, then this happens. This is a kind of an experiment. They're taking a concrete slab, and what happens if we place the insulating material on top of it? What happens if we place it underneath it?
ओके मैम
Hmm. So if it is under the slab, the slab already gets heated up and it transfers the heat very easily. Only some amount of heat is captured, prevented by the glass wool. So it's not very effective. But if we place it on top, so it will prevent the heat to even reach the slab. So it's more effective that way. Then if we that was the insulation through glass wool. But if we use cavity, meaning if we leave some vacuum between the layers of concrete, meaning there is concrete, normally we have reinforced concrete slab जिसके बीच में सरिया होती है. But in case of cavity, what we have is we sandwich vacuum, which is basically nothing. We provide a vacuum sealed cavity between the concrete. So your slab will be concrete, vacuum, then concrete. So unventilated. It is important to see that दो तरह की कैविटी होती हैं, एक जिसमें हवा जा सकती है, एक जिसमें हवा नहीं जा सकती. हवा नहीं जा सकती, दैट्स वैक्यूम. जिसमें हवा जा सकती है, दैट इज ventilated cavity. So agar if there is vacuum, it's a completely sealed hollow slab or hollow wall or even floors. In a multi-level building, you can even have hollow floors. This is a very effective way to insulate your building or your walls, floors, and ceilings because absence of air, meaning vacuum, is a very poor conductor of heat. So the heat doesn't transfer from the outside surface of the walls and roofs to the inside surface of the walls and roofs. So the outside part will get heated up, but it won't transfer the heat inside. So it is a very good way of insulating your building. To create this cavity wall, you can either use hollow bricks and Asif is asking which material is maximum hot reflected glass, concrete, or I don't understand the last one, but I will tell you. I don't know आप क्या पूछ रहे हो. Maximum hot meaning uh, कि, okay, I'll tell you. Reflected glass meaning glazed glass, meaning it has a reflective film on the outside. It it transfers less heat because most of it is reflected back. Concrete absorbs a lot of heat, so it transfers less heat inside, but the concrete itself will remain hot for a long time. Meaning, if in the afternoon it starts getting heated up, by the night time even, if you feel the concrete wall, it will still be quite hot. And I don't know what this last thing is. Then we can have a ventilated cavity, meaning there is a hollow space between the slab and everything, but it will be ventilated, meaning air can pass through the gaps. But so this method of insulation is not very effective because if air can pass through it, then the air can be hot or cold, and as the air flows, it will transfer a lot of heat through that. And even in open cavities, a lot of insects, animals, small animals, snakes, all of those things can get inside those cavities, and it is not desirable at all. uh, so these were the very basic ways of insulating, most common ways of insulating walls. And okay, I'm going to refer to this as the building envelope. Building envelope basically means walls plus ceiling plus floor. That's the building envelope. So the most common ways of insulating building envelopes are using glass wools or fiberglass wool and cavities. And those should be sealed cavities, not open cavities. And even, in vernacular architecture, meaning old traditional architecture, a lot of old houses have these thatched roofs. They have ceilings and they put a layer of straw, yeah, bhusa, on it, and then layer it with another layer of mud or something. This also acts as a good insulator, not as effective, but it is still better than having a only single concrete slab. So, what are the objectives of thermal controls? What are the why do we try to control the temperature or the heat transfer? First thing, when cold discomfort prevails, meaning when we are too cold during the winters, during the winters we try to um, control the temperature transfer difference to prevent heat loss, so that if we are using radiators and heaters inside, the heat from the internal space doesn't escape out into the environment. Then also to utilize heat gain from the sun and internal sources. And so we, first of all, we don't want any heat to escape, and we also want that to utilize the most of heat gained from the sun or solar heat gain. So that's why you will see in colder climates people create these rooms, sun rooms or solariums, in which basically have walls and ceilings made out entirely out of glass. So what happens is this works like a greenhouse. It traps a lot of heat, and that's one way of implementing thermal control. Then to compensate for any net loss by heating, which uses some form of energy supply. So of course, you cannot completely stop the heat transfer between building and the environment. That cannot be done. It's not possible. So what we do is there will be heat loss, so we compensate for it by using mechanical forms of heating. People burn fires in their fireplace. They use heaters, radiators. In India, people use angitis and all of those things. So when cold discomfort prevails, means when it is too cold outside, we first of all try to utilize solar heat and internal sources, and then we prevent that heat from escaping out, and we also try to compensate for any heat that does escape. That's one. Then second is when hot discomfort prevails, means when it is too hot. We again, it is the exact opposite of first point. We first of all remove any excess heat by cooling. We maximize heat loss, meaning we ventilate our spaces. We provide big windows so that air ventilation can happen, and we can encourage heat loss through through what? Conduction, convection, what? Air movement.
मैम फिर से रिपीट कर दीजिए कुछ।
Hmm. In when the climate is too hot, we try to maximize heat loss. Heat loss maximize करने के लिए we are encouraged to provide big windows. Big windows promote air ventilation. Air ventilation से किस तरह से heat loss होता है? That's what I'm asking. Conduction or convection?
कन्वेक्शन।
Yes. And we try to plant a lot of trees and plants around the house so that first of all they block the sun, so that prevents any heat gain, and also it promotes the flow of colder air. And then lastly, we try to remove any excess heat by cooling using some form of energy supply, meaning using a cooler or a fan or an AC or something like that. And lastly, when conditions vary diurnally between hot and cold, like in, for example, deserts may it's very hot in the day and very very cold at night, so you get both. You have to deal with both hot discomfort during the day and cold discomfort during the night. So in that we try to even out the variation. We try to even out the variation means we try to keep an average constant temperature inside. We don't try to fight it as much. And then in the cold phase, we do what we do in the first point. When it is too hot, we do what's in the second point. And we try to use flexible heating and cooling systems, means we try to use mechanical heating and cooling that can switch between cooling and heating. Like air conditioners can only cool, and heaters can only warm the entire space. So instead of any one of those, we try to use flexible heating and cooling systems that can do both. Okay, this is important. This shows how much we can, what factors we can change uh, to provide maximum effects of temperature control, thermal control. First of all, mechanical. This straight line shows mechanical controls, meaning machines, yani fans, coolers, heaters, ACs. Say we cannot control the climate, इसलिए it's a flat zero. Mechanical controls only control the internal temperature, not the climate. Then second, we have structural controls, meaning building, meaning what materials we use, what window openings we use. Through that, we can control it to some extent, but not much. फिर if we use microclimate control means our microclimate control means we plan our neighborhoods, meaning uh, societies in a way that promotes climate control. Meaning, suppose warm areas may, cold, hotter climates may, we um, try to provide buildings that are close by, so that sun, we try to provide narrow uh, roads so that buildings in front of each other can provide shadow to the one in front of it, one opposite it. इस तरह से, meaning we control the settlement, the design of the settlement to control the climate to some extent. We provide ponds to, in dry areas like in deserts, we can provide ponds or create man-made lakes to add humidity in a dry climate, things like that. That's not in your purview or syllabus, don't worry about it, but you just should know that microclimate can control the climate to some degree. Then natural conditions can control the climate, which is obvious. There is nothing we can do about that. Okay. Time lag will happen. That is not something we can change. There will be some amount of time difference. But what we can change is the way we plan our buildings, so that there is a uh, instead of like 4 hours of time lag, we have more time lag, so that by the time we do reach the peak temperature, we can we are already cooling down our space. It's already nighttime. So how do we understand this? Before I talk about this graph, just think about it logically. uh, in northern hemisphere in India, sun rises from the northeast, sets in the northwest, and it travels from south, right? Northeast to south, then northwest. That's how the sun moves. So morning May, the eastern facing walls will get some heat. Then during the afternoon and into the early evening, the south facing walls will get very heated up. Then during sunset, during like 5 o'clock to 6:30, west wall will get very hot. So what we do is we try to avoid giving spaces that will be used during the day in south or in west, right? Uh, if we give a bedroom in the south, so what will happen is कि by the time we're going to use the bedroom, it will already be night time, and the walls, the temperature will not be as much as it is was during the afternoon. The western wall will get very hot during the evenings. So we try to provide spaces that will not be used during the night time, will not be used during the evening time in the west side of the house. But the roof will get heated from morning till the evening, and it loses heat during the night. So to protect any heat gain from the roof, the best thing to do is to insulate it. So this is what we were talking about. If it is a six, if it's a plate glass, means it is not glazed, it is transparent. So how much? 75% heat will be transmitted and 9% will be reflected. And it absorbs about uh, 17 to 10% of it. But if we use a heat absorbing glass, then only 43% of the heat will come inside the space. The around um, 68 to 70% will be absorbed and the rest will be radiated. So you can use heat absorbing glass if you really want to use glass facing or glazing to prevent heat gain inside the building. This is a sun path. I think we discussed sun path in interior project in previous semester, but
Yes.
it's not very difficult to understand. This is basically we are looking at the earth. This outer big circle is the equator, and we are looking at this. If this is the northern hemisphere, then we are this point is the North Pole, right? This is the equator, and this is the 10-degree latitude, 20-degree, 30-degree. So we are looking at the Earth from the very top. So this is the plan of the Earth, and this outer circle is a equator. Center is the North Pole. So what is happening is, up, north is up, then south, then west and east. And these curved lines or arcs show the movement of sun. So during, see, you can see here it's written May 26th. So on May 26th, what will happen is the sun will rise here at 50 degrees and move towards the south, a little towards the south. It's all very close to north, and it will set here. Then April 14th ko it will rise closer to east, and this is how it will move. So this is basically sun moving on top of us. And this is March 21st, February 26th. This is how the sun moves, the sun path. These are month lines, these are hour lines, and these are the altitude angles. So if we want to know कि क्या मई में हमारे साउथ साइड वाले रूम में दोपहर में 3 बजे, सी, ओके, डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड. These lines, these lines are time. So at around 1 p.m., this is 1 p.m., the sun will be overhead. Okay, so suppose in on May 26th, will my south facing room be too hot at around 1 to 2 p.m.? No, it won't be, because the sun will move on top of the room and set. If we see January 16th, it will be a very low sun. See, it's so much more towards the south. It rises in the southeast and moves towards the southwest. See, anyways, we'll discuss this in more detail later, because this is not as important right now. This is important, but you'll need an example to understand this. Because for now we only need to concern ourselves with insulation, how to insulate our buildings from the heat. So we have understood how buildings gain heat, and we have roughly understood how that heat gain is dependent on the month, date, and sun movement, because a lot of heat is gained from the sun, from solar heat and radiation. And using this information, we are going to see what are the best ways to insulate our homes or our projects or buildings from this heat transfer. And we'll do this in the next lecture.